This is Josiah Plays The Elder Scrolls Online Thieves Guild DLC. We are here in the city of Abba's Landing in the area called Hughes Bane in Hammerfell. This is the area of the DLC. We have joined the Thieves Guild. We have some tasks and stuff to complete, but what I'm doing right now is simply exploring the city. And the way that Ashes in the Wind likes to explore a town is to steal everything she can from it. So, right now, we're in the Fighters Guild. And we're going to help ourselves to their hook plum. So you have a hook plum. I no longer have a bounty, which is good. Got some ginger. Oh, a recycled dwarven lamp. Gonna have to help myself to that. Document forging kit. A royal embarrassment. Is this? Does this have, is this about where we are? Oh, here in Bankarai. I don't think so. I don't think this is relevant to the current area. Brought in that huge monster to lead his new giant chariot, which went into a rampage. His assistant had to magically dispatch it before everything went amok. Yeah, that plus the other stories we read about him. The three-legged race. Well, I guess we only read 2 stories about him. About his incredible failures.
Hello, hello, comrade. Good to see you.
Goodbye. Some more of that tasty metheglin. I don't think I've read Volume 4 of the Merchant Lords. Okay, I have to have that. Need those linen epaulets, but I need an Echelet Skull Inkwell. This inkwell appears both delicate and intimidating. The beast's tiny tusks serve as perfect pen holders. Very nice. Here's Hunts with Daggers, but he doesn't want to speak with me. Alright, it's time to read the Ballad of Naveed the Singer. I've skipped reading this many a time, but now that I'm in Hammerfell, I feel like it may be more relevant. Let me see if I can figure out how to sing this. I don't know that I can, really. In old Ragada days, when forebears came ashore, among them were sword singers, according to the lore. At Fort were Yagum's 13, noble and say all. One there was named Naveed, the song is of his fall. Naveed loved Saida, Saida loved him not. Her heart was pledged to Ilkub, the 13th finest shot. As Ilkub plied his bow in practice on the beach, Naveed approached with empty hands until he was in reach. While Ilkub faced the target, Naveed called up his Shahai, slew his love's love with sacred sword, and watched his rival die. What the fuck is his Shahai? Back to Yahub's beach head, went into his tent, fell for shame on his own sword, dishonor thus was spent. Man, I don't know if I like the music of these people. It's not the best. Hey, what's up, Anonymous? Good to see ya. Now it's my Danish blood that's awakened? I don't even know what I was going for there, but I don't think it was Danish, really. Is that what it sounded like? I don't... I'll take this hourglass. What's up, Indian? You want to talk? No? Okay. Can I steal this stuff? I don't want that crap. Oh, we've already read the Hashmoda Chariot one. That's a good one. That's a good one. What's our armsman?
This town needs an arena. My business demands bloodshed, and having some sport on which to bet is always delightful. The magistrate is a fool for not building one.
Cool.
This town needs...
We need to read that book about the volume 4 or whatever, about the Merchant Lords. A call for common hair. Oh, this looks relevant. We're gonna have to read it. Okay, we're gonna read that. Onus of the Ogma is not relevant. We're not gonna read that. I decide fairly arbitrarily whether something's... Oh, I want the Aberrant Spellbook. Oh man, Saito is not prepared for the terrible things that are gonna happen to his character. And it's all his fault too, you guys will find out, but it's all his fault. Naturally. Alright, hold on, let's just look around the rest of this place. And then, what's in this little sack right here? I don't want your honey. Keeps honey in a sack. This place doesn't seem much like a fight at the Red Curse. Okay, we're not reading about that. That has to do with Skyrim. Oh, there's volume 5 of... Alright, we're gonna have to read that also. We're gonna have to read that also. I want that portable chamber pot. I'm all confused about which buttons do which now in this game because I haven't played it in a few days and I've been playing a bunch of other different games. So like, you know, controls are confusing. Don't even think about looking over here, motherfucker. God damn it, Calrarge. You want to talk to me, by the way? No, okay. I want this. Why I want that portable chamber pot? I don't know. For some reason, Offense will pay me 40G for it. Okay, that's about the Daedric Princes. I've read it. The thing about the hair again, we'll read that in a moment. That hair thing is a really popular piece of literature, apparently. Red Curse again. IDC. IDEC. Want your yerba mate. Okay. Let's read. Is there somewhere where I can just casually take a seat? We're gonna have a seat, we're gonna read some books. Oh, Nox has got some lore to drop on us. Here we go. Nox says, the greatest among the sword singers were known as Saints of the Sword, or Ansei in Yoku. Ansei had the ability to manifest a sword from their very soul, known as a Shahai, or spirit sword. By sheer force of will, an Ansei warrior could create this ethereal sword of pure thought, and it would take shape in their hand. That is badass. That is very badass. I like it. Now. We're gonna read... We're not gonna read A Royal Embarrassment. We're gonna read volumes 4 and 5 and the hair thing. Because we read volume 1 already of the Merchant Lords saga. That's the Shahai reference. Yeah, I get it now, Nox. Definitely. Makes sense now. Alright, let's read about hair. Call for common hair by Anonymous. Not to be confused with Anonymous. The nobles of our fair city have gone mad for ornate and overstyled hair. Have they nothing better to do than ape the witless Prince Huvalajad, who is enamored of elaborate hairstyles? The highness of the high hair has appeared in public with numerous elaborate, and to the common man, utterly ridiculous hairstyles. Whether they are wigs, or his own natural hair tortured into ludicrous designs, matters not. We have people starving in the alleys, or homeless due to the sinking of some sections of our city, while Prince of the Curious Coifs pays his hairdresser a sum of 100 gold pieces for each work of art. His most recent follicular follies include... Somebody just got murdered right here while I was trying to read. That's just rude. Am I an anvil again? Damn it. Murderers everywhere. A representation of the White Gold Tower, adorned with diamonds to represent lighted windows. It is said that he could not pass through the doorway of Lady Michifabe's main ballroom without ducking during a recent ball. Person said she saw nothing. At the recent outing to the docks to welcome some luminary from Sentinel, our prince wore his hair styled to represent a Yokudan worship at full sail. The stunningly ridiculous effect was only enhanced with turned excrement. What? Oh, I see. When one of the birds flew over his head, narrowly missing the mainsail. I thought they meant that he had literally rubbed bird shit into his hair as, like, product. That would have been disgusting. But as it is, this is kind of ridiculous. So this Prince Hugh seems like a complete fucking idiot. For a recent outing, it was seen that Prince Hugh's hair was artfully arranged as a hajmota about to charge. Rumor has it that the scales of the hair beast were individual rubies of uniform size. The beast's eyes were emeralds. One young maiden was so alarmed by the horror on his hairness, his hairness! His hairness! See what they did there? That she fainted. Her parents quickly blamed the heat, not the hair muta, so as not to displease Prince Hugh. However, the young woman was overheard later saying that the emerald eyes kept staring at her until she was quite undone. People of Abaz Landing, I implore you, rise up against the prince's hair. Note, this is a reprinting of an actual handbill produced by one of the Abaz Landing original residents. It seems Prince Hugh is not just a nickname we use for the luckless prince. He was truly called this by his contemporaries. Yeah, apparently he's a fucking moron. Alright. Let's read about... The Merchant Lords, Volume 4. Prepared by Tamriel, Master of Secrets for the Queen of Tanith. When the merchant houses of Abaz Landing were first established, one stood out from the rest. Significant not only for its unusual leader, but for the type of business she decided to trade in. The Khajiit, who called herself Thazara, formed the Thazar Cartel to handle the despicable but necessary slave trade moving through the port city. Alright, I already hate these people. The powerful Thazar one of only a few women in Khajiit history to take the male honorific Ra as her own, formed a cartel that included Imperials, Bretons, Redguards, and a few Khajiit. How could a Khajiit run a slavery cartel? Quite handily, it turns out. The legend of Thazar Ra grew as fast as the fortunes of the cartel, describing a woman who would sell her own children if the profit was high enough. In addition to processing Argonian and Khajiit slaves on their way to distant lands, the cartel expanded into the areas of smuggling and buying and selling information. Make no mistake, being willing to sell your own people makes the cartel extremely dangerous, as many of their competitors discovered over the years. Today, Thazar Goldfang, the sixth Khajiit woman to take the name and title of Merchant Lord of the Thazar Cartel, oversees the house's businesses. She appears restless and unhappy with the state of the houses in Abaz Landing, and with the state of her business in general. Whatever occurred to hinder all of the merchant houses seems to have hit the cartel harder than most. She longs to return her organization to the position of power and prestige it enjoyed in the days before the activities of the Hidden House. I'm assuming all these references to the Hidden House are talking about the Thieves Guild, but I don't know for sure. So that she can claim the same honorific as her esteemed ancestor. Thazar Goldfang bubbles over with anger and ambition. She feels that Abaz Landing owes her a level of wealth and respect that, frankly, it has no intention of awarding her with. For this reason, she remains frustrated, anxious, and more than a little dangerous. My recommendation? Do not approach the Khajiit slave trader, not even with a 10-foot pole. Note, these dispatches were recovered from a Tanith vessel and delivered to an interested party in Abaz Landing. I have published them so that we may all know what our cousins across the bay think of us. Anonymous. Not to be confused with anonymous. Alright. And finally, check out Volume 5. Abaz Landing Merchant Lords Volume 5, prepared by Tamriel, Master of Secrets for the Queen of Tanith. Now I want to tell you about the sad and unfortunate fate of the fourth major merchant house of Abaz Landing, an organization I like to call the Fallen House. Gurgis and Associates dates back to a powerful and important imperial family that has all but disappeared from the Cyrodiil records. It came to prominence during the rise of the Merchant Lords of Hughes Bane, when Isobel Gurgis, known as the Regal Pirate of the Abyssian, retired from raiding and pillaging to form a more or less legitimate business. Of course, legitimate business means something very different in a place like Abaz Landing. Isobel began by making loans with exorbitant interest rates, but it wasn't long before she took Gurgis and Associates into gambling, fencing, laundering, and hijacking, where she had her crews steal cargo from merchant vessels so they could sell it back to those same merchants for an immediate profit. That sounds smart. That sounds like my kind of deal. When the merchant house crisis rocked Abaz Landing 15 years prior, Gurgis and Associates was nearly bankrupted. The tumult since, as well as events leading up to the Three Banners War, all but spelled the doom of the merchant house. Today, the Gurgis family has only a handful of blood members and vassals, leaving its current patriarch, Martinus Gurgis, a bitter and jealous man. He has plans, however. Plans to rebuild his company, reclaim his fortune and holdings, and once again make the Gurgis name something to be honored and respected, if not feared, in Abaz Landing. He has a long way to go to make his dream come true. Then the same little note at the end. That's at the end of all of them. Okay. So we're learning about the different houses. I have a strong feeling that these merchant houses are all going to be very relevant to the plot of the Thieves Guild storyline here. So, it's good that we're learning these things. What is that fucking thing? That looks like a scary-ass beast. Let's go out here. Spain. Why am I getting loading screen? particularly long loading screen as well. Anytime now. So I'm super excited about this game that just finished its Kickstarter called Pathfinder Kingmaker. It looks like a Pillars of Eternity like game, but it's based on Pathfinder, the RPG Pathfinder. And Pathfinder is essentially, for all intents and purposes, 3.5 D&D with some very minor changes and its own setting. And I watched some streams, a couple streams. They did a couple preview streams of it, one with the developers, and Chris Avallone is doing like a bunch of the writing on this game. And as one might know, Chris Avallone is by far my favorite game writer slash game designer developer of all time, having been responsible for or involved in many of my favorite games. What is this? Oh, the Mages Guild. In we go. So I'm super excited about that game, even though sadly it's not coming out until Q2 2018. It's next year. And if they say Q2, what they really mean is probably... Oh, hey, Volume 2. We haven't read this one yet. Alright, we'll take a look at that in a minute after we... Basically what we'll do is we'll explore the whole building, talk to anybody that's talkable toable, steal anything that's stealable that I want. Then after we've explored the whole building, we'll read any books that may have... Wait, what? Put that away. We'll read any books that may have come into our wayrest. I don't think that's relevant to our situation. The Aliads and Daedra Worship, no. Uranenya's Lament, Eludune Princess. No, I don't think we need to read about that right now. Aliadune.
Well?
Ebonheart Pack. This guy's like, well. You're lucky I don't want those hide arm cops, sir. You're very lucky indeed. I don't want your flour. I want your linen jerkin. So anyway, watching the wait. This is a new Investigator Vale book. Remember, we read an Investigator Vale story when we were doing the Dark Brotherhood DLC. Oh, well, we're gonna have to read that, obviously. Obviously, we've got to read Investigator Vale. You hope the strategic part of Kingmaker is not just a boring gimmick like Cadnua. Well, I think it's significantly more than Cadnua, considering that the whole... Because this is based on an actual pen and paper adventure path that's been in existence for a long time. And in that pen and paper adventure path, it's pretty significant part of it. It's not just like a tacked on little thing that doesn't affect everything like Cadnua was in Pillars. So I think it's going to be considerably more. But even if it's not, I don't care that much because that's not really the draw for me anyway. It just looks really good. Did you watch that stream? Either of those streams? MMORPG did a stream of it. With Bill Murphy, and then there was the stream that had the lead developer and Chris Avallone, and that was on Owlcat Games. So both of those are up on YouTube now. Video game adaptations tend to streamline things. Well, of course they do. Okay, we don't care about the Octal Cage right now. But anyway, if you watch the video, it looks really good, like really polished, and the gameplay looks really good. It looks better than Pillars of Eternity to me. We've got a lavender helm freshener here. Supple leather pouch filled with aromatic lavender and exotic spices. A perfect remedy for the smelliest headwear. Well, that's nice. Because I'll bet some of those helmets and stuff do get pretty gross. Anyway, it looks really good. So that's kind of got me in the mood to play. I thought about starting a new playthrough of Pillars of Eternity, but I'm gonna wait on that because I'm gonna do a new playthrough of Pillars of Eternity immediately preceding the release. A Claw of Akatosh, immediately preceding the release of Pillars 2, so that I can have a game to carry forward into Pillars 2, because I don't really want to... The game that I finished of Pillars is not really the character and the decisions and stuff that I want to take forward into Pillars 2. I actually want to do a character much more like my original character, Seraphina, the Cypher. So I'm going to do another playthrough of Pillars on like super easy mode, just so I can get through it fast, you know? Well, fast for me. And have a game that I can import into the second one. But it's not time to do that yet because Pillars 2 isn't coming out right away. So thinking about better than Pillars is not saying much. You didn't like Pillars, Anonymous? I liked Pillars. Not one of my favorite games of all time, but I liked it a lot. I liked Tyranny more, for a variety of reasons. What's this about? Tears of Anorami. I don't believe that's relevant right now. I've already read that one. So anyway, I'm gonna, you like parts of it? Murders are happening. Piffle Trumpet. Already read that. And people are just constantly getting murdered. Got a pumice stone here. Metheglin. Let's talk to her.
Cut my purse, will you?
Oh, somebody just got caught pickpocketing. And now drama has ensued.
You looking for magical trinkets? Staves, gems, enchanted jewelry?
No, not really.
I can supply you with magical supplies if you're in the market and discreet. I can I can supply.
I'm the most discreet. Excuse me. As I jump over the counter discreetly. There's an Argonian. Who's this guy?
Welcome to the guild hall, friend. Found any interesting books or scrolls? Please just place them on the desk. Welcome to the guild hall.
So, Anonymous, have you played Temple of Elemental Evil? Label says invisible ink. Well, I need to invisibly steal this, so everybody get the fuck out my way. Already been in here. So I was thinking, man, I kind of want to play a party-based isometric adventure game, but I don't want to play Pillars right now because I'm going to play it again before Pillars 2 comes out. I don't want to play Tyranny right now because I'm going to play the new game plus of Tyranny when the expansion and the new game plus thing comes out for it in the relatively near future. So I don't want to play that. I don't want to play any of the old Infinity Engine games, really, because I just can't deal with fucking the general shittiness of 2nd edition and... Alright, yeah, Investigator Vale, right. I don't wanna deal with games at all. Although I really thought real hard about Icewind Dale or Icewind Dale 2. Icewind Dale 2, the nice thing is about it is it's 3rd edition. not second. So it's considerably better mechanic. I think I'm gonna read this in a second, since it's relevant to red guards and stuff. But then the game I thought, Icewind Dale or Pool of Radiance. The game I was thinking... Oh, you've actually played Pool of Radiance Ruins of Myth Draenor? I've never played that one. And everything I've seen about it was that it was really bad. But I've never actually played it. I could try that one. But I think I wanted to try... I think I've stolen everything I can steal from this place. So I'm gonna have a seat and do some more reading. Thought it was fun? Okay, well, maybe I'll try that. I was thinking Temple of Elemental Evil, though, because I know that it is the most faithful adaptation of any version of D&D to a computer game ever. Which is pretty rad. And it's 3rd edition, so it's, you know, a nice, good... I mean, 3rd edition is actually a great edition of D&D for video games. Much better than 2nd, and there really hasn't ever been a real 4th or 5th edition adaptation yet, sadly. Man, 4th edition would have been such a good addition for a video game, too, and they never made one. And 5th edition would be okay for a video game, too, but they really haven't made one either. I mean, yeah, they made Sword Coast Legends, which is allegedly adapted from 5th edition, but it's really so far removed, it's really nothing like 5th edition, so... But they said they're trying to be really by the book on their adaptation for Pathfinder, which is cool. I don't even like Pathfinder, honestly. I'm not a Pathfinder person, but I still like the idea of that game. Nox says, I remember there was a lot of interesting stuff in the beginning region, like there was something around every couple twists of dungeon. Were there cows in this game? We're gonna read the books now. We gotta read about this one, and not these two. Just these two. More about the Abaz Landing Merchant Lords. Abaz Landing Merchant Lords, Volume 2. Prepared by Tamriel, Master of Secrets for the Queen of Tanith. The first, and, according to the Scions of the House, the greatest of the merchant houses of Abaz Landing, is the At-Adin Syndicate. Founded by Afshur At-Adin, a Redguard male known for both his physical prowess and his disarming charm, the Syndicate grew and flourished for almost 120 years. The enterprising Afshur started out as a simple arms dealer, buying, selling, and trading Redguard swords, orc axes, and wood elf bows. His first customers were the pirates and privateers that used Abaz Landing as a port of call on their trips to more prominent locations, but it wasn't long before he was making shipping deals with those very same vessels and their crews. As time passed, the Syndicate added armor and shields to its inventory, seeking to provide a one-stop shopping destination for anyone in need of protection or those interested in sailing into battle. Pirate crews, mercenary bands, and even privateers in service to one flag or another were clamoring for armor or weapons with the Syndicate seal of quality and assurance. These connections led to another lucrative profit line. The Syndicate began serving as a broker for mercenary contracts. Well, they've actually modded Temple of Elemental Evil a lot. I mean, I've got the Circle of 8 mod pack installed, which adds not only fixes a lot of bugs and stuff, but it adds a huge amount of content as well. Plus, they made a standalone adventure in the same engine called Keep on the Borderlands, which is another really old, classic pen and paper module. There are even a couple total conversions, yeah. I'm really excited to see what happens with Divinity Original Sin 2's like adventure building tools. I hope it's robust because I'd love to make some stuff in that and run the DM mode. I'd love to run games for people like on the stream or whatever in the DM mode of Divinity Original Sin 2 thing. It looks really awesome. The current leader of the Syndicate, Orahan at Adden, rules the business with an iron fist. Ruthless and brilliant, the Red Guard male treats every negotiation as a battle, every competition as a war. In fact, war has become at Adden's primary avenue of trade, which allows him to keep the family enterprise profitable even in the wake of the unrevealed calamity that befell each of the merchant houses recently. As my queen is well aware, the machinations of the unknown party I have dubbed the Hidden House, which I still think is probably the Thieves Guild, continue to be evident while also continuing to elude me. I will have answers, I just don't know when I will have them. Orahan at Adden deals in arms and armaments, mercenary contracts, and smuggling supplies to all sides of any given conflict. He has no trouble selling weapons to the Covenant, armor to the Pact, and vital supplies to the Dominion, as long as each side has the gold to pay for his services. With the sudden absence of the power that had held the merchant houses in check and had even weakened them with a masterful yet secret attack, the Syndicate has begun to make moves to put it back into a position of power in Abaz Landing. Regardless of other concerns, I recommend caution when dealing with Orahan and his family. But make no mistake, you will have to deal with them if you plan to make a move on Hughes Bane and Abaz Landing. So they're the big powerful house. PoE could have been Neverwinter Nights of turn-based strategy. Okay, but Neverwinter Nights was literally designed to be a mod platform. Like, that's what most of their work went into, was making a usable thing that people could use to make their own adventures and run their own adventures. That was the product they were selling. Most of these people are just making a game. And everybody acts like they owe it to everybody to make it. Oh, what about modding this and that? What about a modding tool set? They always ask that. Every game that comes out, is there going to be a modding tool set? And almost always the developers are like, no, because that's an enormous fucking amount of work, way outside of the scope of what we're doing here. You know what I mean? Like, when people come out with other forms of media, they're not asked, hey, is this set up for us to mod it? I see you made a movie. Has your movie been cut up and edited and arranged in such a way that I can easily mod your movie? No, of course, that's kind of a stupid example because you can actually very easily use video editing software to mod a movie or whatever if you want. But I mean, my point is, like most of these games are designed to just be what they are. This is a thing, we made it. You can play it or not. Modding is if you're not designing specifically for modding as like the central thing that you're creating is as a modding platform, it's way too hard. It's too much work to make something when you don't know, especially if you don't know if people are even going to take to it and mod it a lot or not, you know? It's sort of weird. I've always found that if a game is really set up and is super about modding, then the base game is usually kind of meh. Yeah, but the editors they create for themselves in Animus are not user-friendly at all. They're professional, plus they're creating professional tools for themselves which have a value which is much, much, much greater than whatever they'd be selling the game for. They're creating professional tool sets which would sell for thousands of dollars, not $60. You know what I mean? That's like saying, ah, you're selling me a piece of digital art. I also expect you to include the full version of Photoshop in this purchase as well for me. Like, no, that's not for sale as part of my art. I would have to charge you hundreds and hundreds of dollars, not, you know. Not that easy to sell those tools. Well, they're not selling them. But my point is, those tools themselves have a value much greater than the game. Alright, hold on. You will have to deal with them if you plan to make a move on Hughes Bane and Boss Landing. Right. I mean, look at the degree to which those tools are dumbed down when they are released. Like even Neverwinter Nights, right? Which probably had the best tool set for making adventures out of any game that I imagine. I could be wrong, but I think it probably had the best tool set. It was still pretty dumbed down compared to whatever developers themselves, you know, really use to make a game. Or it has such a high barrier of entry to be able to do the kind of thing developers can do. And then a lot of games, when they go to the effort to have a mod tool set, hardly anybody even uses it. Like with Shadowrun Returns, that game came out with a great mod tool set to make your own adventures and stuff. I made a mod with it, and it was difficult, and it took me a long time, and I never quite finished all the features I wanted to put in it, but not that many people even made stuff with that. You know, not that many people even made stuff with that, which was really unfortunate because it had so much potential. I mean, I feel like there's two kinds of people out there. There's the people that really can't handle any kind of complicated mod tool set or game design tool set because they don't have the technical skills and they don't want to get the technical skills. And so they're not really going to do much with it anyway. And then there's the people who have the technical skills or are willing to learn really complicated, difficult things and put a lot of work in. Those people shouldn't be doing modding. They should be making an actual game. They should be, you know, like, make your own damn game if you're that gung-ho to, you know. I like the Shadowrun editor. I mean, obviously it's not as much as like what a professional game development studio would have to make a game with, but you could do quite a bit with it. With the triggers and variables, and you know, you could get it to do quite a bit of stuff. It just took a lot of work. Let's take a look at this Investigator Vale book, A Deadly Toll. Well, it definitely looks like a murder to me, Investigator Vale said as she approached the old wooden bridge. I've found that decapitation is hard to accomplish as a suicide. The bridge spanned a nondescript waterway just outside the town. There was nothing special or unusual about the bridge or the minor river it spanned, but this is where the town's mayor and his entourage had brought the inspector just the same. Nothing unusual, that is, except for the severed head perched neatly atop the handrail that ran along the right side of the bridge. You barely looked at the poor creature, Jacquard Herrick, the mayor's trusted confidant and the town's leading merchant, said. How in the name of oblivion can you make such a bold assertion? Because I'm that good, Vale said, continuing to examine the scene of the crime. That is why the mayor hired me, after all. She pointed out some of her observations to the mayor and his entourage, including that the lack of blood and a body indicated that the murder didn't occur on the bridge. Does anyone recognize this unfortunate high elf? Vale asked as she stepped over and bent down to better examine the head. It was clearly an older elf, a male with perfectly groomed hair and a serene expression on his face. He'd look absolutely peaceful, Vale thought, if not for the ragged scraps of skin and bone protruding from the hole beneath his neck. "That's Glanamir, the gold lender," the cute young guard that had accompanied them to the bridge blurted out helpfully. "I'd know that smug face anywhere." The mayor gave her a hard look for talking out of turn, but didn't press the matter. "So, investigator," he said, turning his attention back to Vale, "can you tell us what happened here?" "Indubitably," Vale said with a smile, taking one more quick look around the area. "It's as clear as, well, the nose on your face, Mayor Moorcroft. Or perhaps I should say, the nose on his face." She indicated Herrick the merchant with a nod of her head. Herrick coughed and stammered. Just, what are you implying, Inspector Vale?" Vale gave Herrick her most dazzling smile. "I haven't made any implications. Yet." She plucked something from the victim's hair and then bent down and removed something that was stuck in the gore pooled on the handrail under the victim's neck. She looked at both items, sniffed them each in turn, and spun triumphantly toward the mayor. "This," Inspector Vale said, holding up the first item, "is obviously Stinkhorn. Our dead gold lender had a number of stems in his hair, which I'm certain led the troll right to him." She held up the second item. "This is a black tea leaf. I found it in the gold lender's drippings." "Black tea? That's one of your primary commodities, isn't that right, Herrick?" The merchant, sweat beading on his forehead, swallowed with an audible gulp and began to step away from the bridge. The cute young guard deftly stepped into his path, her hand pointedly resting on the pommel of her sword. "Explain yourself plainly, Inspector Vale," the mayor said, clearly dismayed. "Ah, yes," Vale sighed. "I forget that not everyone sees the world as clearly as I do. Jacquard Herrick owed a great debt to the gold lender, more than he could hope to repay, as the black tea crop was pitiful this season. He had noticed the troll that was lurking under this bridge and decided to use it to take care of his problem. He convinced Glanamir to meet him at the bridge, where he unceremoniously dumped a sack full of stinkhorn stems over his head and pushed him into the river. The troll emerged, ripped off the gold lender's head, and dragged the rest under the bridge. You'll find what remains of poor Glanamir, as well as a sleeping troll with a full stomach, right beneath our feet." That's nonsensical!" the merchant exclaimed. "No, that's irrefutable," Vale said smugly. "Black tea leaves, the same as those still stuck to your sleeves, Herrick. From working in your storehouse, I'm certain." "Shall I throw this miscreant into the dungeon, Mayor Moorcroft?" the cute young guard asked as she lavished the investigator with a smile. "Of course you should, my dear," Vale said, taking the mayor by the arm. "And then you should summon some more guards, or you'll never get that troll out from under your bridge. Now come along, Mayor Moorcroft. We really should discuss my fee." This was more successful than when she was investigating the Dark Brotherhood and didn't really come to a satisfactory conclusion that time. Alright. What's up, Nero's Clinius? I'm gonna go back upstairs, and I'm gonna go back to... I actually used that shot. Oh, hello! Safe box. What is up with you? Alright, now is somebody gonna come and fuck with me? Hold on a second. Let's just watch that Farazadar over there. I don't trust him. I don't trust him one bit. Razadar. Honestly, who else is up here? Anybody else? Oh, there's Manrad. Anybody else coming up here? Alright, I think I'm safe. I'm just gonna go for it. No! Ain't got time to break picks. Got it. I actually used that Shadowrun editor to make a mod that had a save anywhere system in it. Which at the time, now yes, in the later version of the game, they added a save anywhere system to the game itself. But at the beginning, you couldn't save the game, it was checkpoints only. And they said at the time that it was technically impossible to have a save system in the game with the way their engine was or whatever. And this was a huge amount of work. But I managed to make a save anywhere system in my fucking mod for Shadowrun Returns that allowed you, well, to save the game anywhere you were, and it would save everything. All the details of your character, all the creatures on the screen and where they were, etc., etc. The status of all your quests and stuff. And I even wrote up a big guide. There's a guide that I wrote on Steam about how to do it. Of course, now it's irrelevant. It's meaningless now because they changed the whole game to have that already, so nobody would need to ever use that guide again, but I was proud of it at the time. Proud of it at the time. You know, it'd be cool is if we could have a long loading screen after leaving the building. That'd be great. That'd be fun. Alright, so we've checked out the Mages Guild and the Fighters Guild. The fuck is this guy? Tab. Fighters Guild. They might have used your work to make that happen. Well, I'm sure they were more than capable of figuring it out, how to do it themselves, but well, my system would have been shitty for them to actually use for the whole game, because it would have required way too much work. See, what I had to do was manually do a hell of a lot of stuff, and that was just for one little mod, for one area. To do all that manual work for like the entire game, for every area of an entire game, would have been so much work and wouldn't have been worth it. So I'm sure they came up with a much more elegant solution built right into the engine. Have you done it through DLL injection to mono? No. I just did it by creating global variables for every single thing in the map and in the, you know, in the game, and then just constantly setting those variables, every single one of them, all the time, and then when you go to save the game, it creates a whole huge set of variables based on, you know, where everything is and what's been accomplished and who's dead and who's alive and how much health everybody has and all these other things. And then it stores those global variables, and then when you load the game, there's a script that runs that checks all those global variables and automatically sets everything to those things again from how you had them before. instead of just loading the map. I mean, and it's so it all runs off scripts and variables. And it was a pain in the ass. The only reason I was doing it was just to prove that it could be done. Because I thought, could you do it this way? I mean, plus it was a bad system in terms of it wouldn't have been very effective as far as is this for the Thieves Guild? As far as performance, you know, and like usage of CPU and usage of memory and stuff like that, it was all really bad in that respect. But it did work. It did technically work. So they definitely had to come up with a different way to do it than the way I did it. Because that would have been terrible for the whole game. A hemoloam. This dusty clay becomes thick and firm when moist, making it well suited to covering cuts until actual aid can be rendered. So it's like a blood coagulant thing. This place is complicated. I don't really know where I've explored and where I haven't. It's a big oh look, a sep adder, yay! It's a big complicated. I think I've already been. This is probably one of the more confusing cities. You gonna watch that Kingmaker stream VOD? You should. You should. I want this lead sieve. Let's see. I think I've been in Padrul's house. I think I picked this guy's pocket before. Got a thing, got a lizard eye marbles. Coming over here. Got some camels. The Fighters Guild, which I've already been inside. God, this city's fucking huge, too. I also need to end my episode. Oh, I need that, though. Illustrated Arms Folio. A book of colorful illustrations depicting a variety of weapons throughout Tamriel. Please go away, guard. I'm trying to steal a thing here, and you're kind of stepping on my business. Okay. Nice and deserty out here. Alright, so this is the outside of town. I need to find a, I was just gonna say, I need to find a stable master, and then I looked up, there's one right here. Convenient.
I watch the horses more closely than I watch my children. I watch the horses more closely than I...
Get my carrying capacity up. I'll take a piffle trumpet. There's the stable master. That's good. I was looking for him. Look at the outside of this place. It looks impressive. What else is going on over here? Mubdanath. Oh, Mubdanath. Not so lucky nose needle. Grab up on that. Anybody over here want to talk to me at all? Why? Why does nobody want to talk to me? Guard? Some guy? Oh, recipe for clambrous. Oh, hey, we found a thing to read here. Mud crab order request. Some consider mud crab to be the food of the common folks, the staple of a peasant. This is truly uninspired. Such a versatile food is as essential to Tamriel as massive wheels of cheese. I plan to compile the finest mud crab recipes of Abaz Landing for publication. As such, I require a barrel of mud crab meat to be delivered daily. Not only will you be promoting local culture with your contribution, but I will also provide the typical payment for your services. Master Chef, he cuts the flesh. Can I actually... I wonder where he cuts the flesh is. I'll bring him some mud crabs. Some mud crab meats. I'll murder some mud crabs for their meats.
I hope to be done here soon.
Meat crabs. Bum, 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 bum. How about you? What's your story? No?
What do you want?
Nothing. I don't want nothing. Shut up. I got your fragrant perfume bottle, sir. What do you think about that? He doesn't like it. That's what he
Don't
thinks.
seem to be making much progress.
Hey, here's somebody I can talk to.
This hot desert sun feels so good upon my flesh. Not like the pitiful sun we have in Skyrim.
Oh, this guy.
This hot.
This fucking guy. Alright, we'll go back into the city. We've explored this little outer area here to my satisfaction for now. Sunbathing on a rock, I know, right? And he's a Nord. With, like, scarification. Don't ask me to explain it. Alright, what I need to do... These are some hella doors. Warehouse district. Oh, really? I feel like I should wait to go into the warehouse district until I have, like, a mission to. I know I will. The Thieves Guild is definitely going to send me in there.
Spare coins for an Alliance War veteran? Spare coins.
I don't give any amount of shits about the Alliance War, so no. Oh, I can't pick his pocket. Alright, I need to end this episode right now. If you're watching the stream, don't go anywhere because I'm not done playing. If you're watching on YouTube, this episode is now at an end. So thank you for watching. This has been Josiah Plays The Elder Scrolls Online Thieves Guild DLC.